guarantee to orderly conduct of the legislative proceedings. We will not accept disruptive behavior, and any individual who is disruptive may be removed from the chambers or remote meeting service or have their connections muted. Finally, we are practicing physical distancing and wearing masks at all times here in the chamber and throughout the Capitol building. So we are only able to have a limited number of people in person. We have a few different options for witness testimony today. For the people in the chamber, if any member of the public in the room would like to testify in the bill, please raise your hand and I will ask you to approach the microphone at the appropriate time. I ask that the public not touch the microphone. We also have witness video conferencing rooms available, which are located here in the Capitol. For dial-in witnesses, we'll be using a moderated telephone service today, allowing witnesses to testify on a bill. The call-in number for this hearing is 877-692-8957, and the access code is 2426237. You can also find this number on the Assembly Utilities and Energy Committee website, as well as on the TV screen. If you are calling in, please plan to do so as the author of the bill you're testifying is beginning their presentation. Please also be advised that if you are a main witness providing testimony for or against the bill, you'll remain on a live line and will need to mute yourself until you are called to speak. If you're having any problems with the moderator phone service, you may call the committee at 916-319-2083, and my staff will be there to help. We are also accepting written testimony through the position letter portal on the committee's website. We're going to move on to the agenda. We have 10 measures on the agenda for our on consent. On consent, we have item number 1, AB 1250, Calderon. Item number 4, AB 1531, O'Donnell. Item number 8, AB 33, Ting. And item number 10, AB 1156, Holden. As we proceed with the witness and public comment, I want to make sure everyone understands that the Assembly has rules to ensure we maintain order and run an efficient and fair hearing. Testimony is limited to 4 minutes total for each side. For any additional witnesses on the measure, please briefly state your name, position, and affiliation, if any. I also ask the members speak directly into your microphone so the public can hear your votes. Do we have 1, 2, 3? No? Okay, a quorum is not present, so we'll move on as a subcommittee for now. We're going to proceed in file order. Okay, let's begin. We're going to begin with item number 2, AB525 by Mr. Chu, Energy Offshore Wind Generation. Mr. Chu, you're ready?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me first start by thanking Chairman Holden and his committee staff for working diligently with me and my coalition on significant amendments to this bill. I am accepting all the amendments in the analysis, including amendments that strike the planning targets and instead direct the CEC to identify state goals for large-scale offshore wind in 2030 and 2045, and making explicit that offshore wind should be developed in a manner that protects coastal and marine ecosystems. This is a committee that knows full well that this past year, along with the pandemic and the loss of over 1 million jobs in our state, California has experienced intense climate crisis, heat waves, wildfires, rolling blackouts, and more. And as we think about how to address this climate crisis and put people back to work, there is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to do both, just 20 to 30 miles off our coast. California has access to one of the world's greatest untapped resources of renewable energy, offshore wind. Wind that has the potential to combat climate change, meet clean energy goals, and provide good-paying jobs. The Biden administration has recently announced sweeping investments in climate infrastructure, including planning for 30 gigawatts of offshore wind by 2030, along with $3 billion for partnerships with the industry. His plan also explores unlocking a path to 110 gigawatts by 2050 and designates suitable sea space off the East Coast. East Coast states have set 29 gigawatt goals, resulting in 16 projects under contract and counting. Given that our capacity of 110 gigawatts is enough to meet all of our energy needs, we are behind, and we need to take an opportunity to step up and ensure that we're part of this national plan. Offshore wind is a smart strategy that complements our solar industry because it generates energy at night when solar cannot. Offshore wind also has the potential to add thousands of good-paying jobs in supply chain development, construction, operations, and maintenance. This bill, AB525, would jumpstart the offshore wind industry in California by creating a plan to construct and harness the power of offshore wind. It's imperative that we start planning now to meet the goals of our state and our country. And with that, really appreciate the strong bipartisan support we've had on this bill, and I want to hand things over to my colleague and joint author, Assemblymember Cunningham.
Thank you, Assemblymember Chu. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to echo Assemblymember Chu's words of gratitude to the committee for working so hard on this, and to Chairman Holden for his dedication to landing this bill in the right place as we move forward. The AB 525 would, for the first time, actually formalize California's commitment to offshore wind power development. And why is that important? Well, California has to diversify our energy portfolio to meet the ambitious climate goals that we've set for ourselves. And offshore wind is a vital component to reaching that goal. We can look no further than across the pond to the United Kingdom as an example. Since 2013, the United Kingdom has reduced its CO2 emissions more than any other developed nation in the world. They've done that by investing in and building offshore wind. As a direct result of their investment in offshore wind, they've seen those climate reductions, their energy has gotten cheaper, and their entire society has benefited. California is a perfect place to develop this new market and exciting technology. We have wind that blows 24 hours a day, just 30 to 40 miles off our coast. The peak production, as has been mentioned, is at night, when the peak demand is on the grid. That's a nice thing. And that's unlike solar, which is why it complements solar very, very, very well. If we don't do this and we don't have a plan, we face some pretty dire circumstances coming up here in 2025. In 2025, if you don't know, our state's last nuclear power plant, Diablo Canyon Nuclear Power Plant, which is in my district, is slated to be decommissioned to go offline. When that happens, we will lose nearly 10% of our statewide energy production overnight. So we got to start now in planning for how we replace Diablo Canyon's power, how we grow the offshore wind market, and how California can lead the way on the West Coast with this exciting new technology. And I should mention, lastly, this could be a significant source of high-paying jobs. And that's something we shouldn't forget either as we move forward. I'm glad and grateful to Assemblymember Chu, our other joint author, Assemblymember Friedman, for taking a leadership role on this important issue. And I respectfully ask for your support and encourage an aye vote.
Thank you. Before we're going to go any further, just want to make sure that the author is accepting all the amendments.
As I said in my opening statement, yes, we are accepting all the amendments.
Thank you. And actually, let me go ahead and take roll and establish quorum before we proceed.
Christina Garcia.
Here.
Christina Garcia here. Patterson. Here. Patterson here. Barricayhan. Burke. Carrillo. Carrillo here. Chow. Chow here. Chen. Chen here. Cunningham. Cunningham here. Christina Garcia. Eduardo Garcia. Mays. Marsucci. Quirk. Quirk here. Reyes. Reyes here. Santiago. Ting. Mays here. That's 9.
Thank you. We will proceed. We have 2 primary witnesses in support testifying by phone. Phone moderator. We have Laura Deanne with the Environment in California. You may proceed with your testimony.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you to Assemblymember Chu and Assemblymember Cunningham. I'm Laura Dehan, State Director at Environment California, and we're very proud and excited to co-sponsor AB525. In the interest of time, I'm just here for questions. So thank you so much.
Thank you. For moderator, we have also Jeremy Smith with the State Building and Construction Trades Council of California. You may proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Moderator. Jeremy Smith here on behalf of the State Building and Construction Trades Council. Also proud co-sponsors on this important bill to drive up construction apprenticeship system in California and to add another tool to the state's toolbox to lower GHG emissions. I also, more the time is short today, so I will simply urge you to vote aye on this important workforce development and energy diversification bill. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no formal opposition listed. We will move on to public comment. Do we have any witnesses in the back of the chamber floor or in the back of the gallery in support, opposition, or in between that would like to testify on AB 525?
Madam Chair and members, Scott Wesch on behalf of the State Association of Electrical Workers stand in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair and members, Mike West, on behalf of the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades, we stand with the building trades in support.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the building? The phone lines are now open for additional witnesses if you'd like to testify on AB 525. Board moderator, do we have anyone on the line that wishes to speak in support, opposition, or share their concerns on AB 525?
Thank you. If you are in support of AB 525, you may press 1 and then 0. In one moment while we gather their line numbers. And again, we are in support of AB 525. And we will go to the line of 304. Your line is open.
Good afternoon, Erin Rodriguez with Union of Concerned Scientists in strong support.
Thank you. And next we will go to the line of 277. Your line is open.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Andy Wonder with E2 Environmental Entrepreneurs, calling in strong support of AB 525 on behalf of our 2,600 business members and supporters in California. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to the line of 271. Your line is open.
Renee Suister with the Whiteman Group on behalf of RWE and East Bay Community Energy in support. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we'll go to the line of 259. Your line is open.
Hi, good afternoon. Dylan Jaff on behalf of Series in support.
Thank you. And next, we'll go to the line of 151. Your line is open.
Good afternoon. James Thurwacker with the California State Council of Laborers in strong support.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to the line of 172. Your line is open.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Danielle Osborne Mills on behalf of American Clean Power California in strong support of the bill. I also want to convey support from several industry groups and companies, Aker Offshore Wind, Business Network for Offshore Wind, Castle Wind, California Wind Energy Association, DARE Defense and Renewable Energy Strategies, EDF Renewables, Equinor, Magellan Wind, Mainstream Renewable Power, Offshore Wind California, Ørsted, Principal Power, Pacific Ocean Energy Trust, and RWE. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to the line of 284. Your line is open. Line 284, your line is open. Do you have us on mute?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members. Lucas Ferricks on behalf of the Nature Conservancy in support of AB 525 as proposed to be amended. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to the line of 167. Your line is open.
Hello, my name is Genesis Gonzalez, and I am calling on behalf of the Office of Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis. The Lieutenant Governor is proud to be a co-sponsor of AB 525. We thank the committee for its hard work on the bill and request an aye vote today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to line of 261. Your line is open.
Good afternoon. David Weissman on behalf of the Alliance for Nuclear Responsibility in strong support of AB 525. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we'll go to line of 296. Your line is open.
Eddie On of Brightline Defense and strong support.
Thank you. And next, we'll go to line of 113. Your line is open.
Hello, this is Dan McCullough, Senior Field Representative for Carpenters Local 751 and 35 in Northern California, covering Marin, Sonoma, Napa, Lake, Mendocino, Del Norte, and Humboldt counties, and I'm calling in support of AB 525. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to line of 116. Your line is open.
Good afternoon. Noel Varela, Millwright, Local 102 Field Representative, representing all 46 counties of Northern California. We support AB 525. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to line of 250. Your line is open.
Delaney Hunter on behalf of Ocean Wind and strong support.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to line of 107. Your line is open.
Good afternoon. Timothy Rife, Carpenters Local 22 in San Francisco, California. We are in strong support of AB 525. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we'll go to line of 128. Your line is open.
Good afternoon. This is Ed Evans of Carpenters Union Local 217 in San Mateo County, calling to voice our members' strong support of AB 525. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we'll go to a line of 111. Your line is open. I'm sorry, they're not there. We'll go to line of 292. Your line is open.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Doug Subers on behalf of the International Brotherhood of Boilermakers in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to line of 132. Your line is open.
Hi, my name is Marie Chen. I'm a resident of San Diego, and I strongly support AB 525.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to the line of 324. Your line is open.
Good afternoon. Ozzie Beltran with the Northern California Carpenters Regional Council in strong support of AB 525.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to the line of 341. Your line is open. Line 341, your line is open.
Melissa Romero with the California League of Conservation Voters in support of AB 525.
Thank you. And next we'll go to the line of 345. Your line is open.
Hello, this is Sean Hubard representing the members of Carpenters Local 505 and 605 of Santa Cruz and Monterey counties in strong support of AB 525. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we'll go to the line of 344. Your line is open. Line 344, your line is open.
Good afternoon. This is Ralph Dennis representing 350 Bay Area Action, and we strongly support AB 525. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have no more supports in queue at this time.
Opposition? Moderator?
Thank you. If you're in opposition of AB 525, you may press 1 and then 0. 1 and then 0 if you're in opposition of AB 525. I show no one in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from committee members? We have a motion from Ms. Reyes and a second from Ms. Carrillo and Mr. Martucci.
Thank you very much. I just want to commend the authors of this important bill. You know, we often talk about how we need to have a just transition to get more, good union labor building or renewable utility scale projects. And so this is an embodiment of that effort. With your approval, Mr. Chu, I'd like to be added as a co-author of this bill. Thank you.
Ms. Bauer-Kahan. It's been moved and seconded. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too just want to thank the author and his joint author for presenting this bill today. I think it's so critical, as I said in our previous hearing, and I know many of us agree, that we look at all the paths forward to a clean energy future, and this is such an important piece of that puzzle. Being California, having this resource on our doorstep and not using it to the fullest extent feels like not the right thing to do, and so I'm glad you're moving this forward. I wish we were doing it in a more aggressive way, but we are where we are, and I appreciate the effort. And I think that, the thing that keeps me up at night is my children's future and climate change and whether or not they will have a world that they can inhabit that is safe. And again, this is just a step in making sure we're doing everything in our power to ensure that future for our children. So thank you, Mr. Chu.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson, our Vice Chair.
The opposition that was primarily on the bill was basically the California large energy users, a lot of agricultural folks, and I've had significant conversations with them, and although they have removed their opposition, there are underlying concerns that they're going to want to have considered as this moves to the bill stage with respect to what happens with the plan here. So I'm going to lay off the bill presently. I'll reserve my privilege on the floor, but do want to remind folks that it is agriculture and it is the large energy users that often have their rates increased as a result of some of the renewals. So we've seen that fairly regularly. And so there are some still latent concerns, and for that reason, I'll lay off presently.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
Yeah, with Chair's indulgence, if I could just thank the Vice Chair for raising that issue. He's always a strong proponent for ag, and I am as well, or I try to be. Just a couple thoughts for consideration on that. I mean, the more energy we can produce in the state of California, the less reliant we will be on imported energy from out of state. And we have major grid resiliency problems even today. And that is, we're only less than 4 years away from losing, again, the last nuclear plant, which is 10% of the state's power now, 24/7, 365. So I think in terms of increasing supply to match supply and demand and keep the grid resilient, I think that anything we do to produce or store more electrons in the state of California, we are contributing to grid resiliency, which will help keep costs down, because as we've learned, and going back 20 years or so, or maybe 19 years, whatever it was, to the last energy crisis, I mean, we can end up as a state in a very bad place if we end up reliant on out-of-state imported power, because we need to cover that last 1%, and then we're at the mercy of whatever somebody from a producer from another state wants to charge or can legally charge. And I don't want to end up back there again. So I see this as actually supportive of ag as an industry, which is a large consumer of energy and a large purchaser, because I think it will increase over time if we're able to build this out to the scale we're hoping to in terms of offshore wind generation. It will contribute positively to grid reliability and hold prices down in the long run. I just wanted to make that observation.
Thank you. Seeing no further comment, Mr. Chu, would you like to close?
Yeah. First, let me just appreciate the comments and all the feedback through the process. And we have been engaging with the large energy consumers, happy to continue to do so. I want to just make a few points on that. If we are successful, the idea is that as offshore wind is commercialized, we are expecting energy costs to fall. So our hope is, as we move this forward, costs will be reduced. We also know that we need to add offshore wind as part of a diverse portfolio so that we can stabilize the energy sources that we have. There was an SB 100 joint agency report that had reported that without offshore wind, total energy costs become $1 billion more expensive in the future because, for reasons we stated before, given the time when this energy is produced in the evening, and again, it complements what's happening with solar. Let me also just end by echoing the comments of our East Bay colleague. Like her, like many of you, I have a young child, and we know at this moment we have to act now when it comes to this crisis. And I really want to thank the significant coalition of environmentalists, the clean energy industry, as well as labor for coming together to move forward this vision, not just for offshore wind, but what a just transition means. This is going to be instrumental for us to address climate crisis and also create the jobs that we need to for the 21st century economy that we want in California. And with that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Secretary, please call the roll.
Item number 2, AB 525. The motion is due pass as amended to natural resources. Christina Garcia?
Aye.
Christina Garcia, aye. Patterson? Not voting. Patterson not voting. Bauer Cahan? Bauer Cahan, aye. Burke? Burke, aye. Carrillo? Carrillo, aye. Chow? Chow, aye. Chen? Chen, aye. Cunningham? Cunningham, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Mays? Mays, aye. Mersucci? Mersucci, aye. Quirk? Quirk, aye. Reyes? Reyes, aye. Santiago? Ting? Ayes 11, 0 noes.
Thank you. That bill is out. We'll leave it open for absent members. Before we move on to our next item, do we have a motion on consent? Moved by Ms. Reyes, second by Mr. Cunningham. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Item number 1, AB 1250. The motion is due pass to appropriations. Item number 4, AB 1531. The motion is due pass as amended to natural resources. Item number 8, AB 33. The motion is due pass as amended to appropriations. Item number 10, AB 1156. The motion is due pass to appropriations. Christina Garcia?
Aye.
Christina Garcia, aye. Patterson? Aye. Patterson, aye. Bauer Cahan? Bauer Cahan, aye. Burke? Burke, aye. Carrillo? Carrillo, aye. Chow? Chen? Chen, aye. Cunningham? Cunningham, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Mays? Mays, aye. Mersucci? Mersucci, aye. Quirk? Quirk, aye. Reyes? Reyes, aye. Santiago? Ting? Ayes 10, 0 noes.
Thank you. Those are out. We'll leave the roll open for absent members. We're going to move on to item number 3 by Assemblymember Gonzalez. Energy California Alternate Rates for Energy Program, Net Energy Metering, Electrical Corporations Distributed Eligible or Renewable Energy Resource Allocations, Interconnections. Ms. Gonzalez, you may begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I want to start by accepting the committee amendments or the rewrite of my bill as described in the analysis, and thank the chair and committee staff for their very hard work on this bill. AB 1139, the Solar Equity and Ratepayer Relief Act, would phase out California's inequitable energy rate structures if the CPUC fails to adopt a NEM 3 by next year and make other much-needed changes for customer generators. California first introduced net energy metering to significantly incentivize the adoption of rooftop solar, which at the time was a fledgling industry. Under NEM, customers not only have lower bills because they are using less energy from the grid, but also from the credits they receive for selling back their excess power at the retail rate to the utility. I know this firsthand because I also am a rooftop solar customer. However, studies done by the CUP have found that across the state, rooftop solar customers are consistently benefiting from the rate structure more than the value of the energy generation. Solar customers are able to avoid paying their fair share of fixed costs to the grid by avoiding energy use charges, despite all of us, including solar customers, still relying on grid infrastructure. Those costs are then shifted to other ratepayers. In a rulemaking procedure before the CPUC, the statewide cost shift was estimated at roughly $3 billion and expected to grow to $4.5 billion by 2030. A recent study by UC Berkeley and Tufts found that even after controlling for income and home ownership, Black and Latino neighborhoods had less rooftop solar installed than white majority neighborhoods, leaving them to just